The agenda is an overview of what we've been doing for the last year and a half, and discussion was planned on MAP funding. Molly is up in Indiana, and given the weather, she has asked to forego that tonight. So we will, as staff, go over some of the MAP funding, and I'm going to ask her if she can go to a few of, if not all of, the municipal outreach meetings that we'll be discussing a little further down the agenda, so that if there is questions or if there are needs that are out there, she can directly address those. So the second item on the agenda is the acknowledgement of previous meeting notes. It's an acknowledgement and it's notes because this group is large enough. We need 13 elected officials to meet a quorum. I just counted, we only have 10. So again, these will be notes for tonight, and we will bring them into the September meeting, and we'll go on. There is nothing really to vote on here tonight, so the lack of a quorum won't deter us from having the discussions that we are having on the agenda tonight. There's a number of new faces here. Thought it would be a good idea to go over why the Government Advisory Committee, the history, and exactly what this committee is designed to do. The Blair Planning is an organization with several boards under it. The Government Advisory Committee could be looked at as maybe the shareholders board. All municipalities pay in a local share to support our activities, their grant matches, and they support the MPO. And as such, historically, the purpose of this committee was to be the communique between the Planning Commission and the MPO and the localities. And that's why when it was set up in 1964, they wanted the elected officials to be the members of this committee. So the purpose is essentially to be a sorry about that. The purpose basically is to get everybody together a couple times a year and discuss and have ideas as to studies and things that we could do to address mutual problems throughout the county. They could be community level problems, functional problems, services. Could be maybe an issue that everybody needs to do something that's come down the pike and nobody's quite sure how to do it. It could be an issue of getting together and figuring out how to come up with a way to address a major expense that everybody is facing. It could be sharing equipment, things like that. Of course, we don't always need to be involved in all of that, but that was the reason why the advisory committee was set up initially. When you look at the original, or I should say the early years of the organization, each year the Planning Commission, the MPO, and by extension the staff was engaged in a different type of study, whatever that study may have been. They did housing studies, they did a bomb shelter study one year on who was going to be allocated, what kind of food was going to be needed, where to put these things, things along those lines. Some were a little more basic in terms of population projections, economic studies, things like that. That was back in the 60s and 70s. The grant funding that funded everything locally operated differently. And these days the grants are a little more tailored to specific tasks. So instead of going that direction, we would still talk and see what needs to be done, but then we'd have to find the grant funding to be able to do the study. So does this link work?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so these are the bylaws that were last adopted for this organization. I'm sorry it's that small.
You can zoom. Or you can actually zoom with your fingers on the screen.
So the committee was formed in 1964. Originally, there were two committees that were identical with identical purposes. One was created for the Blair County Planning Commission and COBRA. The other was formed for the MPO. The purpose of those were identical, as I said. A petition was made to the federal government to allow the committee to be combined into one. You can see, believing that one of our major goals should be to retain strength and home rule, and at the same time combine our resources to solve problems beyond the individual capacities of the respective communities, and believing that by combining our individual resources we can better solve the mounting problems with which our municipalities are faced, while at the same time preserving our local autonomy and existing system of self-government. So that was the core of the reason why this committee, and actually why Blair County Planning Commission and the MPO are set up the way they are set up. It was a coming together of the municipalities. Municipalities actually petitioned the county to create this basically form of government, and everybody pays in, and there should be a mutual benefit there for it. So these are the bylaws, and it's basically standard bylaws after this point, where we are, where we're created, the authorities that create us. Interestingly, as the Planning Commission, we predate the municipalized planning code. We technically do not operate under that, but we do recognize it for purposes of the different municipal reviews that come through, such as if you have an ordinance that needs to be reviewed by us, we recognize the timeline in that ordinance. We recognize the timelines for the development reviews, things like that. Because if we didn't, it could create some chaos. So that's pretty much where that goes. Did you have?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it might be good to go over some of the stuff that's in Article 3, just because I think it outlines a lot of what the responsibilities of GAC members are, and kind of what it means to be on this committee and what those responsibilities look like. So I think that would be good.
So the purpose, as we can see here, is to act in conjunction with the Blair County Board of Commissioners in providing advisory policy guidance to the Blair County Planning Commission and the Altoona Metropolitan Planning Organization. And that's, most people just call that the MPO. And they undertake the transportation planning for the whole county. And also provide a forum for identifying, discussing, and solving regional problems, promote communication among constituent municipalities of the county, thereby forming the basis for intergovernmental cooperation, make comprehensive planning more effective by keying the elected public officials into the recommendations, forming and decision-making phases of the planning process, provide a direct liaison between Blair County Planning Commission, the Altoona Metropolitan Organization, and each unit of local government within Blair County. And that was, again, back in the days, think of the 60s, there was no common email, there was no real fast communication, everything was either in person or maybe by telephone. So this forum was to facilitate communication that way. To promote a program of public education and citizen participation in the overall planning and development efforts now underway throughout the county by establishing close working relationships with groups, organizations, and the general citizenry throughout the county. To promote the coordination of planning and development activities of the various municipalities of the county in such a manner as to maximize the benefit to be derived, facilitate agreements and cooperative action proposals among the townships, boroughs, and city for meeting specific community needs, to minimize any duplication of effort, thereby promoting the most efficient use of each tax dollar, and to aid the Blair County Planning Commission and the Altoona Metropolitan Planning Organization in guiding the future orderly growth and development of the county by providing a direct input of the needs and desires of each unit of local government within the county, and generally to make Blair County a better place in which to live and work. And I will mention that these bylaws are old enough that the MPO is now called the Blair MPO. The boundaries were expanded quite a few years ago from being the city and the urban area immediately surrounding it to including the whole county. And therefore it's now called the Blair MPO instead of the Altoona MPO. So just to case people heard it one way and here it's listed the other. So that's the basic purpose of the committee, why we call you together. We want to hear from you. We want the direction and the guidance that is provided. We also started the municipal outreach. That's been quite a few years now that we've been doing that, where we go around to, used to be every municipality, now we go around by region and meet with everybody to sit down one-on-one across the table for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes and discuss the issues that are out there. If there's an open project that we're doing, that oftentimes forms the basis of those meetings. So that's another side of this that has developed over the years. The GAC, again, was created under an old federal program that was replaced in the mid-'70s. So this open-ended, everybody comes together and we just pick what we want to do and go with it. We can still use that as a basis, but instead of being able to just pick up and do, we now have to hear what you would like to do, and then we need to go find the funding to do it. Whereas it used to be, you tell us what to do, the funding that was available allowed us to just do it and move on. And that disappeared almost as long as I've been alive. So it's been quite a few decades, almost 50. Actually, it's been 50 now. So that's the purpose of the committee in a nutshell. These bylaws are somewhat dated at this point. They should be updated. Once we get a meeting with a quorum, we'll be doing that, and it'd be nice to get some officers elected and make this a little more of a formal meeting every 6 months. That was another issue we tried to overcome back in the day. We would call this meeting whenever it seemed to suit, and we always had about a third that wanted it during the day, another third that didn't want it at all, and another third that wanted it in the evening. And because of all that, there was never quite a time where we got half of everybody together. So we did get people to get the consensus about 5 years ago, I guess it's been, to meet the third Monday of March, third Monday of March and the third Monday of September. So we locked that in. We locked it in as an evening meeting. So when you commit to this meeting and this committee, you know at least when those 2 main meetings are going to be. So that's in a nutshell. There are questions on it. I kind of glazed over that pretty quickly. That's the purpose. That's kind of our structure. Okay. No.
Oh, I have to reopen the presentation.
Sorry. I thought it was a separate.
Sorry, you'll have to look at my dogs.
It's her computer, not mine. One thing that was up for discussion, we took it to the Planning Commission last month, and it'd be good to get the input of the municipalities. The development review process has changed over the years. 15 years ago, every proposal came through the Planning Commission. It would come into the office, it would sit until our meeting, and it would go to the meeting, and the Planning Commission would look at every proposal. Didn't matter how minor it was, how major it was. It could be somebody simply moving a lot line 2 feet so it lines up with a stone wall that's out on the landscape. The Planning Commission would sit there and debate it. About 10 years ago, maybe a little more than that now, there was a change made where those smaller reviews are done pretty much at the staff level. They come in, the staff looks at them. If there's nothing glaringly wrong with them, because a lot of those lot shifts, lot line, and lot mergers They're fairly basic, and there's no real impact on the neighborhood from a county perspective, from the county level perspective, a regional perspective, if you want to look at it that way. So the proposals that would come through that would have no visible impact on the landscape, staff would sign off on, and then the Planning Commission now ratifies those at their meetings, with the developers knowing what the letter is already going to say, but with the caveat that the Planning Commission, somebody at the Planning Commission may say, hey, I know something's going on out there. To try to head that off, when the developments come in, the smaller developments come in, they are emailed to all the Planning Commission members, and they're given a few days to look at them. And if they have an issue, the Planning Commission member can flag it and say, hey, I got an issue here. We're going to need to take this one to the meeting. It will get pulled. We let the developer know this one's getting pulled. It's going to the meeting, and then it'll be reviewed at the meeting. I can probably count on one hand the number of times that's happened since we started this process. It's just, they're so basic and so benign on the landscape that it doesn't make sense for us to basically be in the way. We become a bureaucratic hurdle for no real purpose. It's the same issue when we get Act 67, 68 proposals. Those are form letters that DEP likes us to fill out. They come into staff, we send them around to Planning Commission. If nobody really has any objection, they don't say, hey, pull this one for the meeting. We sign off on the form letter, get it back out to DEP, so the design professionals can see that we have no real issue. It's already in compliance with the general planning principles, and they can get on with designing things and getting people moving on with their investment in the community. The bigger proposals go to the Planning Commission, and they have a full vetting. We take those in, and these are the ones where you're going to see a change on the landscape. It might be a parking lot being put in, it might be an addition being put on the side, it might be a drive-through being put in, whatever it might be. But if they got a visible impact on the landscape, we take them to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission vets them, they discuss them, they'll pull them apart, put them back together, and take a look at what's going on. And oftentimes with those types of proposals, the more eyes that are on it, the better off things come out on the other end. And in those cases, most people would expect there's going to be some scrutiny with those. With this delegation that's being proposed, we're proposing to make a change here. The delegation that's being proposed, these would still go to the Planning Commission. So would any ordinances that the municipality is proposing that need to come to us for review. And those tend to be zoning ordinances and subdivision ordinances. Sometimes floodplain and stormwater ordinances need to come to us as well. It depends on their structure and where they're being inserted into your municipal code of ordinances. But if they come in, they will still go to the commission. The proposal is for a relief valve to be put in, so we're not standing in the way. They still go out to the Planning Commission. The Commission will still have the ability to have their comments on them. But if for some reason the Planning Commission can't meet and it's going to go a whole nother month where these things are sitting on the side, it allows staff to process them through based on any comments they would get back from the Planning Commission and move them out the door back to the municipality again, so people can get on with developing what they're proposing. It would only happen if a meeting would be canceled. Otherwise, they would go to the Planning Commission. Now, we're not expecting we're going to be canceling meetings left and right, but it does happen once in a while, and it does cause delays and it can cause some strife. So it was proposed as a relief valve in the event that a meeting, for whatever reason, would need to be canceled. So basically, in a nutshell, this new delegation, the ones that you don't see on the landscape, the lot splits, the lot mergers, the DEP permits for MPDES, things like that, would still go the way they've been going. Where they come in, we give them out we send them out in an email for a couple of days and come back. And then if there's no comments, we send the letter out. The big ones would still go to the planning commission, the ordinances would still go to the planning commission. The only difference being proposed would be this relief valve where the staff can move them forward should we need to cancel the meeting for whatever reason. So we were bringing this here. It's processes the planning commission does. They would have to vote on changing it. It was something that was discussed a couple years ago and never came to fruition, just because there is a question of, well, why do we really need this? But it is nice to have a relief valve in place for those few times where we have to cancel a meeting. But we wanted to bring it here for your input. If you have any, your discussion, good idea, bad idea, other idea that might get the same thing done, we're all ears.
Dave, I have a question.
Yep.
I had received, my name is Todd Lewis. I'm currently the chairman, the president of the Planning Commission. And I had received some feedback from municipalities that they don't always know about our monthly meetings. And certainly they're invited, but maybe they are not aware of that. And then the other thing that could be helpful with this development review would be, would it be proper to send the municipality representative a copy of what's being presented at the planning commission meeting so that they could attend if there was something on that agenda that was pertinent to their municipality, maybe they themselves have concerns about it, maybe they'd like to present those concerns to the planning commission, or maybe they'd like to hear the concerns of the planning commission. Is that something that we could implement in looking ahead?
We can do it. We did something like that when we first made this change with the small ones a number of years ago, and we got some pushback. Now I would say most of our elected boards at this point have turned over since then. But we did get some pushback at that point as to why am I getting these things? They are annoying. So we stopped doing it. But I would prefer to have people know what's going on with this. If something comes up, people can show up and give their give their viewpoint on what's going on, particularly with the intergovernmental reviews, the Act 67, Act 68, the NPDES stuff, things like that. A lot of the lot splits, lot mergers, and development reviews actually come to us from the municipality. So kicking it right back to them, but we could send them an agenda, and then they'd have at least a week's worth of notice.
Yep. Members as well. I brought this up to staff, and I thought it would be a good idea, and I wanted to get some municipality input. We're all used to agendas and meetings, so maybe the planning commission staff could send you a monthly agenda right at the beginning of the month. You can include that in your meeting and your municipality meeting. That way it would serve as an update as to what the planning commission is working on, what's in the pipeline, specific to your municipality, and anything that would need to be discussed could be on a monthly agenda provided by staff here to your staff. Would that be something municipalities would be interested in?
We would like to be able to communicate. It's we want to communicate in a way that's useful to you.
Yes.
Maybe just a clarification of what Rod was asking. So the planning commission meets typically the last Thursday of each month, 8:30 in the morning at the Water Authority. It is a public meeting, so certainly anybody listening is invited. That includes the entire Blair County community. As it relates to the agenda and the items that would be on the agenda, I'm not sure whether that agenda is really formed an entire month in advance, or whether that would be more like 10 days out, a week out. I know that doesn't, you mentioned about the first of the month, but the actual notification of the meeting is easy enough to send. but I think the question might be, some of these plan reviews might not be prepared until 10 days before, a week before.
What I was suggesting, sorry to confuse the agenda, not the planning commission agenda, but for the municipality agenda, so that they can include that in their meeting, just a monthly update of what the planning commission is doing on behalf of that particular municipality, so that their elected officials are kept appraised of what's happening in their municipality. Not so much, the formal agenda from the planning commission, something that municipalities would get used to seeing on a monthly basis for their municipality.
One way this is handled is in the city, we are on their agenda on a regular basis every month. There's a line item on their agenda for an update from the Blair County Planning Commission. And one of the staff right now, it's Mackenzie that's assigned to it, goes and gives that update. Before we had staff going, and we may be able to get back to this now, one of the ACPC members was also a BCPC member, and that member did that update. And now that we have that relationship established again, we'll see how it changes. If it changes, it doesn't have to.
So Dave, this Derek Martin from the Roaring Spring Borough. This is my second year on council, and second year that I was voluntold to be on GAC. But this is the first communication that I've received about the GAC and about a meeting, even though I was on that committee. So that's where I think that on the municipality side, we can do a better job at communicating that stuff towards each of the municipalities in there, because I know I was elected on that committee there, but I knew nothing about it, and this is my first meeting of the GAC.
We did not have any meetings last year, so you didn't miss anything.
Oh, perfect. Then I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
But that's, I think with what Rod was saying, that would help out with any communication that we can update the fellow council members on what's going on.
It's on too. I agree, and that is a priority for us moving forward. We have not had a meeting in 2 years. 2 years?
Year and a half.
Yeah, so I think everyone is probably feeling the same way.
Can I ask a question, is there a reason why we haven't had a meeting in a year and a half? I mean, you just read your bylaws, you're here for the municipalities. You're here to hear from the municipalities. But you're not hearing from the municipalities because you're not having meetings, so can I get an answer to that, why we haven't had meetings?
My health. Last March and last September were two critical points for my health issues I was facing. So the meeting was canceled for both times last year.
So it's my understanding, according to your bylaws, you're supposed to have 2 meetings every year. So you're telling me over the past 2 years, 4 meetings you've not had because of your health.
3.
It says twice a year.
Right. We had one at the beginning of 24, I believe.
The last one was September 6th of '24.
So we missed the 25s.
And are you supposed to also do municipal outreach?
Yeah.
And that's not happened since 2024.
Right.
So let me ask this, Blair Planning Commission, who do you get your funds, who pays your bills, who pays your salary?
The money comes from the local share, the state and federal governments.
And not the county?
You're part of the local share, yeah.
Okay. So is it my understanding in October of last year, you had multiple municipalities come to your planning commission meeting and ask, what are you doing for us? And at that time, they were going to withhold money. Do you understand at this particular time, Blair County is withholding $65,000 because we don't think you're doing anything? Answer that.
I'm trying to get back on my feet, that's all I can say for that part.
So I'm not gonna get into your health, so for 2 years or a year and a half, you're saying you were completely incapacitated, you could not do your job from home, you could not answer your phone, you could not do emails, you could not do anything.
Oh, I was doing some of it, but it depends on what it was being done. So I needed to keep the wheels on the organization as well.
Do
And
you think you've done that?
not as well as I would like to have.
So we'll get into the hazard mitigation when you get there, I have a lot of questions about that.
So, does this meeting depend on your health, or are there other people from staff that can conduct the meeting if you're not available?
We're making changes so that things can move forward without me having to be present. But what's been happening, because we don't have a chairman for this group, because we haven't had a quorum to elect officers, is I've been the one leading these meetings, which really shouldn't be happening.
Well, I think since you've established that we do one in the, we've got the dates designated now, we could, in anybody's absence, still have staff
Right.
prepare and conduct the meeting. It shouldn't be dependent upon one person.
Right.
And that should be a policy. Maybe that comes up at the planning commission meeting at the end of the month.
Great.
Sure, I can address those concerns. So, last meeting was my very first meeting for the Blair Planning Commission, and I identified that exact problem. So at that meeting, we instituted Mackenzie as a backup. So she's to receive all emails that Dave would receive. She's to be able to function in an auxiliary capacity if Dave's not able to function in those. To put some continuity of services, that's really what matters. Why is the Blair Planning Commission there? If it's, I think, I'm speaking, I'm changing my hat to municipality. What's the purpose of Blair Planning Commission? So why is it there to begin with? And if that is an affirmative, yes, it needs to be there, then we need to have continuity of services regardless of staff implications. We need to have a plan in place. So we worked on that at the last meeting. We implemented Ms. Corin as the acting assistant executive director. We're going to work out the details of that, but our overarching goal is to put continuity of services in so that things don't get dropped off. If they're, heaven forbid, I use in my work, if somebody gets hit by a bus, what's going to happen? And the ship's still got to sail.
Which is what we do, that's it on the city planning commission. We address it.
Dave, may I ask, how many municipalities are invited to this meeting? What is the number of municipalities that Blair County represents?
25 plus the county.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the issue, just to take, not to put the entire weight of this on Dave, is, at the September meeting, there were 9 municipalities represented out of 25. So, and I didn't look back through the minutes from the prior meetings, but, if a quorum is 13 members, and we get 9 members, and next meeting we do it again, and we get, 11 members, and the next meeting we do it again, we get 8 members, it's still valuable, and it's still a resource to the municipalities, and we're still gonna keep doing it, but, and I'm not trying to preach to the choir, because obviously those of you that are here representing municipalities are here representing municipalities, but it is a little bit of an issue that somewhere in the course of the 60-year history of this organization, many of our municipalities have decided that this is either optional or not that important. And so, we're somehow going to have to raise the importance of this to get people to come.
Yes, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
When you say elected officials, so me as the borough manager, I am the one that is designated to be here because I don't have an elected official that can attend. So my municipality doesn't have a vote.
And if that's the case, that wasn't communicated. I didn't know that either. I'm a borough manager as well. So we have more than 13 people here. And
I would be in favor of changing whatever we need to change. If the elected people want to delegate a manager or somebody from their municipality to vote for them, that's fair.
Agreed.
I think you need to get an appointed delegate from every municipality in
Yes.
some fashion. So you're guaranteed, this is the person designated from that municipality and they're gonna show up to the meetings. We did that in Clinton County, we had 13. We never had a problem having a meeting twice a month. We moved things along.
And I would just like to respond to what Mr. Lewis had said. I guess that if you're not gonna have the meeting for a year and a half, the municipalities probably gave up. What's the purpose?
Well, I was talking about the September 2024 meeting.
Right.
I mean, there were regular meetings then, and they didn't have, you said you hadn't had a quorum for 4 meetings in a row.
Right.
Right, so, I mean, it's been a track record of a lack of participation, a lack of attendance, you know. If we're gonna make this group effective and actually be able to enact, you know, change or, you know, enact any real action, we're gonna have to have a quorum, or we gotta change the bylaws, and you can't change the bylaws
Without the quorum, and that's where we're stuck, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, at least what I'm hearing here from municipalities is they can't get their elected officials here. So I like the fact that, you know, nothing's gonna get done unless you change the bylaws. You know, if you're not gonna have them all come here. I think 13's a lot. I know 3 commissioners, you can't get them to make a decision. If you're trying 13 people trying to make a decision, good luck with that. But, I mean, if it's not gonna be effective, why you have it? I mean, if the municipalities and townships aren't gonna have a voice, why are you gonna have it? Like, make it work for them. It needs to work for them. Your bylaws, you're supposed to hear from them. You're supposed to coordinate from them. You're supposed to bring their things together for all of us. And it's not happening.
There were actually only 7 municipalities present at the March. So, I mean, something's gonna have to change. We have to come up with a better way of working together, which to include the municipalities that aren't here. So,
And we started a dialogue. I'm Rodney Green, I'm also a new member of the commission. And like I said, we made a few adjustments already based on the feedback, and appreciate what we're hearing here tonight, very much so. But I would say that, you know, we've already informed the solicitor for the commission that we want to talk in more detail what kind of change can be made to our bylaws. And I'll say out loud, that maybe we can't get everybody in one room to make those changes, but we could do a virtual meeting to at least meet an initial quorum, or else have people do a consent vote process. We just need to run it through the solicitor. But I think we need to be a little more creative, a little more out of the box, but we want to be relevant in the way that you want us to be relevant. We want to make this work. And I think that's the commitment that all of us bring to the table. We just know we can't continue to do business as we always have. It hasn't changed. So I think we've heard you loud and clear. And we don't want to do anything, you know, I'm going to say improper, but there have to be some different ways to move some things forward, to change the bylaws and to make your inputs and keep, like the communications of sending out things to make sure we're meeting that the agenda meets sunshine law requirements, things like that. We just want to check all the boxes, but we want to keep it to where you say is relevant.
So what is the mechanism? Is it something that we ask staff to prepare for the planning commission meeting? Changing the bylaws?
I think it's going to be a combination of things. I don't think it's going to be just one thing.
Or is it gonna start tonight, or when is it gonna start?
So we have a meeting coming up. We've already started the dialogue. We've already talked about having an interim assistant director. There's a few changes we've made. But going forward, we have a whole list of things we know we have to get on. And that's why we're here tonight to gather more information of what should be on that list.
My name's Peter Full, and I'm.
Yes, you're on the list. Okay.
And I really do think that. What is that list? Can we get that so we can be prepared? And is it on the agenda to modify the bylaws so that a municipality can identify a representative that has the legal authority to vote on behalf of that, even if that person is not
there could be some kind of proxy process that take place. I would be willing, I don't know the law well enough versus what's current by that, but we have to work with it.
Are
Because the
they
points
gonna
at the
vote
committee,
on-
like if they go back to the board of supervisors and sits down with them, they have like a 2-day window to say, hey, this has come up, we have to vote on this, and then they can email it in their vote. Or does it have to be done at this meeting that night? If you're asking somebody that's not an elected official to make a decision for the township, then I don't see that as being really kosher. Not that I don't think that there needs to be someone here on it, but is the vote that important tonight that he could hold off for 2 or 3 days till the secretary or whoever could sit down with one of the elected officials, which is usually in an office at some point, usually, to talk it over, get their decision, and then send their vote in.
I would think that if there is an issue that would be addressed, that would be sent to the municipality in advance. You would make a decision and then you would send your representative with that decision.
Yeah, that's fine as long as it was in advance, I can see that, but if it was a decision that's being made, that's being thrown on the table right there, it's not enough.
I would think there would be anything that would be on the agenda that we couldn't know in advance.
Well, you could appoint an elected official, but then also appoint a designee if the elected official couldn't go. Like, if you feel something's very important that you should be there,
Right.
then you could go yourself. But if you feel it's something like, okay, we can have a designee go and report back.
Most municipalities have more than one elected official.
Right.
And most of those officials all sit on different boards. There's no reason why you can't have a primary and an alternate. Typically, one of those two would be able to make it. That works really well in all the things that I've been involved
That all depends on what size municipality you have also.
Yeah.
Because the smaller municipalities have elected officials that are also working and juggling everything else, and that's why they put a manager in the position, because it's my responsibility to run the municipality on a day-to-day basis.
which they could designate you as the alternate if the elected official couldn't show up. I mean, that's my
Why I'm
point.
here.
You can.
I was already telling you it's work.
But that's my point, is this isn't rocket science. There's more than one person in every municipality that you could have someone already designated as, okay, the elected official says, I'm gonna be in Florida that week, I can't go. The other person knows that they have to go. It's not rocket science.
The issue's been how do we change the bylaws to allow it?
Well,
Yeah.
you can talk to your solicitor, but you can get the bylaws, you can put the changes and draft them and send them out, and send them to all the municipalities that are involved. Have them look at it, get the feedback. There's all kinds of ways that you can get the voting done without having, I mean, you could do a Zoom meeting. I mean, it doesn't take that long. There's all kinds of ways to do it creatively. And quickly,
Yeah.
my other question is, are you looking at places like, I mean, and I'm gonna speak for you for just a moment. Go back to
You
your head.
just be careful.
The city and the town in Logan have their own planning departments. We have our own planning commission. Yet we still use you guys. I mean, honestly, it's a little redundant to some degree. Maybe we look at something like that and say, okay, how much of this stuff do you offload to us? Because it's not something that you need to do. I mean, I think you need to look at that. I think we need to bring the whole thing into the modern era. I mean, this is back.
60 years old. Yeah, it's 60 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's time for some changes. And they need to be done intelligently, carefully, but quickly. Otherwise, somebody's gonna be talking about this 10 years from now, which I won't be here because God knows where I'll be. I'll be on the ground somewhere. I hope not. You and me both, brother.
I tried to ask a question about that to reel this back in, if it's okay. First of all, congratulations to all the new members on the Blair County Planning Commission. Thank you for stepping reviews with no visible impact, will you be able to send something out that clearly defines what that is? Like, does that mean, like, my day job's land surveyor, so when I hand you a lot line adjustment with no visible impact, does that mean staff review doesn't need to wait for the meeting at all?
Right.
I get something back, the municipality gets something back, and so that gets us right on the agenda for the
Right.
municipal.
Yeah, that's how we're doing it now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the only thing this would change is that last dot, is the relief valve for the big ones. What I call the big ones, the ones that have a visible impact on the landscape.
So does everything creating a new lot, is that considered a visible impact, or does it depend if it's a minor or major? Do we draw the line at minor, major subdivision?
A major subdivision, in my mind,
Like it's
I'd have to say how it's defined,
Yeah.
but in my mind, a minor subdivision would be lots along an existing road. There's not gonna be a road being built, and we don't get involved with individual housing. So, it doesn't meet our threshold for review for individual housing. But if you're gonna do a subdivision where you're putting a new cul-de-sac in or something, then that would rise to a, because again, there'd be a visible impact as a direct result of that plan. But yeah, if you had 500 feet of frontage and you decided you didn't want to put 5 houses along there, and it was just a subdivision plan at that point, that would stay at the staff level.
The only issue that I think, that I can see at this point with the relief valve thing is you're missing the opportunity to give the municipality that it actually, where it's taking place, the opportunity to comment on it, to send somebody to a meeting. You're just, pushing it through, basically. So you don't know if there's any impact that the officials of that township or borough or the city have. That
They-
can't raise.
They come from the municipalities.
We already.
Yeah, we technically are working for the municipality when we're doing these reviews. Even under the MPC, we would be working for the municipalities.
Yeah, the elected, even if a municipality does not have a planning commission, the elected officials still review, or their staff or their manager,
Yeah.
in some cases,
Yeah.
the secretary.
And the municipality has the final approval for them.
Yeah, it actually works as they advise the municipality, okay, here's what we looked at, here's what we saw, just here's our thoughts. Now you guys get the final approval.
Well, in all positions, we don't see that. Obviously, we wouldn't need to. So,
And that's how we own it now, too. We have our planning commission, so they some of that stuff doesn't even go to them.
And it could be way off base, but why did you guys create your own plan?
Size of the municipality, it's always been there. I mean, it's who better to understand what's going on in our municipality than the elected officials and our staff? I mean, we have a dedicated planner, we have a codes enforcement. I mean, we are pretty much self-sustaining. I mean, a lot of times we send stuff to the county and it's like, okay, we have to send this out because it says we have to send it out. But in reality, nothing ever comes back and says you gotta change this or you change that. Most of the time, our person is right on top of it.
Cassandra should be climbed.
Yes, you should.
We're a third-class city in the city, like we have to. Like a lot of it's state law.
Yeah, township's a second class dot. I mean, so it's, the size of the municipality gives you some ability to do things the municipality can actually do it. Some of the smaller entities, they don't have the budget or the ability to get somebody to come in and do that, that's got planning experience and has been schooled in that, and we do.
Could I make a comment from the commission? And I've only been on this for a year, and yet I'm the longest standing member of the planning commission. But in the year experience I've been there, we've reviewed solar farms, we've reviewed, new restaurants, we've reviewed, some hotels, we've reviewed, a variety of agricultural, developments, some residential, recently a quarry, you know, to a certain extent, I think the purpose of the planning commission for the entire county is really to be an extra set of professional eyes. That's the staff who are professionals, you know, who are trained, who are educated in this. And then it's an extra set of really apolitical residents who basically are, at some level, just providing an extra layer of protection and somewhat of a I'm gonna say apolitical again. You know, if something comes through even to the city of Altoona and you have a planner, you know, you've got powerful people that live in Altoona, that own businesses, that own land, that own factories, that own, you know, lots of buildings, and they wanna add on, they wanna build something, they, you know, and every one of them, I'm a businessman, you know, we all wanna get our stuff done, right? We're all in a hurry, it's important to us, you know, it's, you know, in most cases, it's got dollar signs on both ends. You know, the longer it takes, the more it costs, but the faster we get it done, the more we can make, you know. The part of the planning commission's job, I think, is to review all of this stuff with professional staff. And essentially, you know, most of the time, we send it through approved. But I would say most of the time, in my experience, we send it through with either comments or reservations, you know. And there's been a couple that we actually rejected. That's really the minority in my experience. But in most instances, it's sent back to the municipality with approved with reservations. The reservation might be sidewalks, the reservation might be ingress egress, it might be stormwater, it might be some buffer, green buffer, it might be a buffer of, you know, water waste. And I think when the municipality gets that back, the thought process is it may not be something that was caught in the office or by staff. It's possible. We might catch something new, you know. And it's also possible that when we raise a little flag, that your municipality looks at it again and says, you know, maybe we should ask that engineer to redraw this. Maybe we should ask that business owner to make a slight change. Maybe we should ask that, you know, whatever, that farm or whatever it's gonna be. To a certain extent, because it comes from the planning commission, we're giving the municipalities an outside layer of, you know, blame to a certain extent. If you wanna blame it on us and say, you know, hey, we'd like to ask your engineer to look at this again or redraw it, you know, the person that lives in your city or your community may say, you know, just get, you know, what's the big deal? Get it done. Let's push it through it. But you've at least got us to look at as the planning commission and the staff who's reviewed it to say, you know, well, the planning commission identified this and we think it's legitimate. Please take another look at it. And you know, the reality is if I mean, you know, the essence of the word plan, I mean, if we just build things, you know, pave things over, you know, create roadways, ingress, egress, you know, we don't manage stormwater, we don't manage, you know, parking, we don't manage, you know, sidewalks, whatever. Sadly, you build it and then you're stuck with it mostly for the rest of our lives, you know, and if we really make a mistake, people die, you know, or whatever, the groundwater gets poisoned or the, you know, something happens. So, you know, we're attempting to look at you know, at any significant development and say, you know, is everything, can we check off all the boxes, is everything okay? And if there's a flag, we raise a flag, you know, very seldom do we reject it, you know, but if it was significant, we would reject it. And even if we did reject it, the municipality still has the right to push it through. But at least you've had, that's a big flag when we reject it, so. I don't know if that's a fair explanation of what our purpose is, really.
Seems to be.
You know. And if you're a small municipality, you don't have a planning staff. You know, if it's Altoona, Logan Township, you know, you've got somebody hired who also is a professional who's looking at that stuff, but we're at least giving that person a little bit of a if maybe your planning person says, hey, I'm a little concerned about this. If we're also concerned about it, that makes that that concern that much more significant?
Well, by the time it gets to you guys, it's been looked at least twice. Because we actually have a planning commission, and we have a dedicated planner who's actually educated in that as a developer and planner. So by the time you guys get it, you're the third look at it.
No.
So,
Or fourth, depending
Or
if the
fourth, yeah.
engineer, because there's always, the municipalities have an engineer review, the other engineer. And they're very, in those cases, I'm sure they're very few. But I also serve on Marine Spring Borough County, so I know when Derek asked the question there, I mean, all you have to do is look at the agendas. I know one time early on in my process when I was a councilman, I was looking at the agenda at the borough. Most of our agenda items are on what I call operational issues. Versus you look at like Frankstown Township or probably, I mean, I used to joke with someone, I say Frankstown Township is actually a land development corporation disguised as a township. I mean, if you look at their agenda, it's almost all approvals of these kinds of developments. And that's really what it is. A small borough has little experience with that. They do very little with that. So there are differences, and we try to recognize those differences in the process that we go through.
I guess my question goes into, and I appreciate everything that the commission does, the time that they put in there, but it also comes into redundancy in what stops Roaring Spring Borough from, because what I've learned in my short time sitting on council is shared agreements. What stops us from, I was like, listen, we're gonna go to Logan because they're having meetings, they are very active. But why do we have to have the Blair Planning Commission? Logan has their own, the city has their own. Why don't we come together and there you, maybe I'm wrong, but save the taxpayers money within all of that because there's every, which one? All those entities have different budgets that they're operating on. There has to be a better way, and not to go against your health, but I was like, we're always in the process to make things better, work smarter, not harder, save taxpayers money. It was like, there has to be a better way that we all come together, whether we utilize Logan or Altoona and come up with that. Or there may be a board to their planning.
I mean, you should utilize them as your planning commission.
Yeah.
That is what we're.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I work with these guys at different, like, they're all good. Like, they're really good at what they do. They
And
can be
I'm
a
not
small
super, I'm
municipality.
not involved with it at all, and I'm learning about all this. So it's trying to figure, I just hear that there's different ones out there, and I hear that it's, I've been on there for 2 years and we haven't had a meeting, so, and I'm not discounting anything that anyone's doing, I'm just trying to help figure out what the best way to get to the end of the road is, and to keep everything kosher and moving forward and county planning. And maybe I'm so incorrect, people just tell me shut up. I'm fine with that as well.
It needs to be recognized that for the city of Altoona, we have a unique zoning ordinance. We have a unique subdivision plan. So our reviews are based on that which was adopted specifically by the city of Altoona. And
Their
that-
regulations ain't gonna work.
Everybody.
That's the whole ballpark. They've got regulations that the state requires them as a city. They're not gonna, so a guy wants to put a shed in his front yard in our township, have at it, Jack, but there's other ones that say it's gotta go in the backyard. I mean, their regulations, for this kind of stuff, is a lot different than what the smaller.
We have houses 5 feet apart, like our firefighters are in big trouble if we pass something that could blow up the whole block.
Yeah. Understood.
Can I ask a question in reference to the bylaw updates? I know that there has to be coordination and review and comment back with the solicitor. But why can't we do a subcommittee regarding getting the bylaws updated in an expedient way versus, trying to let it pass by 60 days? I mean, it's kind of a critical issue. If we could do that,
think that would be.
That's a wise idea, just to test.
I don't think that we would have the power to do that. I think that is the planning commission board members.
No, the
Well, I think
bylaws for this committee are this
Correct.
committee.
This is a little bit of a confusing discussion because we really came here tonight as the GAC. You know, this is the, Government Advisory Council, and it's really those bylaws that are, it's primarily the attendance and quorum issues. But, the planning commission at least is running this meeting, whether or not that's, who should always run the meeting or not, I don't know. But, probably the primary issue is the bylaw change of who can represent these municipalities and what is a quorum, and that's probably, we could come up with, the solicitor will probably look at this and make a recommendation, a very simple recommendation of numbers, I suppose, and then we've got to figure out a way to get 13 people together to approve it. But
Yeah, point of order, we're an hour into this meeting, when we don't have the agenda, so we can make answers.
Can I ask one question about the relief valve? So how many board members are there on the Blair County Planning Board?
9.
And how many seats are currently filled?
That's
7.
7.
8, invite them, we fill Thursday.
So you'll have a full board.
Yep.
So a quorum is 5. So when you take that appointment, don't you take responsibility of making sure that you can attend those meetings? Unless there's an emergency situation. So we shouldn't have a cancellation on a regular basis.
And we don't.
So then really a relief valve shouldn't be needed.
It wouldn't be used very frequently if it was put in. It was just something it was something that was thought about to, when it does happen, so we're not holding people up, basically.
So not to prolong this, because I agree with this gentleman in the back, but under your bylaws, section Article 3, it says the purpose of the government or GAC shall be to act in conjunction with the Blair County Board of Commissioners. We don't hear anything from you. We don't even know that there's no meeting. So I think that needs to be addressed in your bylaws too, because you don't work for us. We don't pay you. And then also under section D, we do. Under section D, it says to provide a direct liaison between the Blair County Planning Commission. If the Blair Planning Commission, are you telling us that the commission knew that you haven't had a GAC meeting in 2 years? You're supposed to tell them, like here's your bylaws, it says you're supposed to directly talk to them. So did the Blair County Planning Commission know that you haven't had a government advisory committee in a year and a half or 2 years?
Yep.
That's news, because I was told that they did. Okay. We can move on.
Anything else? Hazard mitigation plan. This is overdue, and I'm hopeful we're in the last stretch. The consultant that we have that's wrapping this up is now working with Pima to ensure that the plan is presentable to them. We needed to match the state parameters with the hazard profiles and call out the local conditions a little more strongly than what had been in there. In the mitigation section, they had some new expectations that it needed to be updated to, and we now have 8 dozen action items in the mitigation section under our action plan. So the next step with this, once Ben and Ernie come to some kind of consensus on it, would be to submit this plan to Pima. Pima and FEMA will do their APA review. APA stands for approval pending adoption. Once the APA is done and they are happy with it, it will go out to the municipalities for adoption. Once the first municipality adopts it, it's considered approved for the intent and purposes that the federal government looks at. But everybody who wants to participate does need to adopt. So just because, say, Logan Township is the first one to adopt, doesn't mean they're adopting on behalf of everybody else. The other 24 municipalities also need to adopt if they wish to participate in the plan and the benefits that it can bring. So that will be happening here, I'm hoping very shortly, and we'll be moving on with that.
I have quite a few comments on this particular subject. I want the municipalities to understand the impact this has, because this has been delinquent since December 22nd of 2025. 24. So since 2024, we've not had a hazard mitigation plan. And you say, well, big deal. Well, Juniata Township, you're in danger of getting a $500,000 grant from the Altoona Water Authority because they don't have this plan. There's a dam above Duncansville that's leaking that they can't fix because this plan's not there. I talked to Ernie, who's down in Planning Commission at Pima, and this is what he's told me. The impact of an expired county hazard mitigation plan in the county and municipalities are no longer eligible for FEMA hazard mitigation assistance under the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Rehabilitation hazard potential dam, biggest impact. There is a 24 high hazard potential dam grant, $500,000 for Plain 9 Reservoir, Altoona Water Authority, Juniata Township, Blair County at risk. The grant cannot be awarded unless the subgrantee has a valid current hazard mitigation plan. Hazard mitigation grant, there would be an impact should we have a disaster tomorrow, as the county would not be eligible for disaster recovery mitigation. And I will remind everybody, just a couple weeks ago, we had a train derailment just above the horseshoe curve, and we were lucky to have been filled with some type of toxic system. I don't know where we'd be with this today. Building Resilient Infrastructure Committee. The county would not be eligible for non-disaster funding, as there must be a plan in place to submit an application via the deadline provided in the notice of funding. In the flood mitigation assistance, the county would not be eligible for non-disaster funding, as there must be a plan in place to submit application via the deadline and notice of opportunity. So we as commissioners get beat up. We've taken action because you failed to take action. And because you failed to take action, I have 122,000 people in this county who do not get PEMA and FEMA funding. You've limited it because you failed to put together a plan. Okay? You have the Altoona Water Authority who's been beating down your door telling you we have a $500,000 grant that we can't do it, and apparently it goes in one ear and out the other. I will say this. As a county, you will never do our hazard mitigation plan again because you showed us that you can't do it. When this one's done, we will have someone else do it because you're unreliable.
Can I ask a question? You had stated that now we have several other mitigating factors in the plan. I know that when the municipality started meeting many years ago to start the plan, we were just coming up with those, and then we didn't have any more meetings that the community, that the municipalities were involved in. So this plan has been sent to Pima and FEMA, but the municipalities haven't
It has not yet.
seen what the new mitigations are.
That plan has still not been submitted as of today.
When's your submission date?
When is it gonna go in?
We don't know yet.
Why not?
It's depending on the consultant we're using is working with Pima right now. Once they come to their consensus, it will be submitted.
And how many times have you promised that this plan would be submitted? Before you answer that, I have the answers to this. How many times have you said that it would be done? And I think it's 4 times that you yourself said it would be done, and here we are still setting, and those times have come and passed, So how many more times do we have to hear about it? It's gonna be submitted.
It's when they get their consensus done. That's all I can say at this point. When the consultant and Ernie get together and they're satisfied that each other has the plan in place. I am told that we are down to looking at a couple points on section 5, and we should be able to get that done. I'm hoping this week, but I don't know.
Who's the consultant? So when you guys don't prepare the plan, which you are trained and able to do, and you have to hire a consultant, what does that cost?
Right now, they're the consultant we hire to be our staff extension consultant. So he is charging us $50 an hour.
How many hours? How
It's,
much have we paid so far? Because we all the municipalities in the county are all contribute to the operation of the planning commission. So part of our money's going to pay consultants, which we don't need because we thought we have people that could do this for us. That's part of your job.
Just want to correct answer that question succinctly. So I was appointed as the treasurer, and I went to Diamond Coffee today. For fiscal year 25-26, we spent $24,497.50 at the Stewart rate.
That's
not hazard mitigation.
that's not for hazard mitigation, though.
Yeah, they are contracted to do our land development reviews for the year of 2025. So
Who's they?
Stewart Group, the consultant, Stewart Group. Yeah, so they have been, I'm sorry?
Where are they out of?
Indiana.
That's just a line item for Stewart Group, so I don't know how all was included there. I don't have a lot of back knowledge on that.
So they are reviewing your hazard mitigation plan, correct?
Yeah, we brought them in at the end of the year when we found out about the Plain 9 Dam and that it was critical. We brought them in to try to get this done as quickly as possible. The principal at Stewart Group offered actually to start it off. The first month's worth was, he did it as a professional courtesy.
So you're able to give us an answer by the next time of how much money was set aside specifically for review of the hazard mitigation plan?
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the next item?
In conjunction with the hazard mitigation plan, there's a lot of overlap with the stormwater plan. Plan framework is in place. There's a process flow chart. The main plan, we will be needing watershed data, and we do have a couple model ordinances and framework that will be inserted in that plan. Part of the stakeholder outreach is municipal outreach. There'll be surveys and discussions that will be going out. I expect that will be a big part of the municipal outreach that we will be undertaking this spring. As we meet with the municipalities, one of the things we would need to know are anything that you're aware of as municipal officials as to where there may be poor drainage, say maybe obstructions in culverts or streams, older systems that aren't working quite right anymore. Maybe there's a couple acres that are paved that don't need to be anymore, things like that. We can add them into the plan and address them. Yeah.
Dave, is this something new?
This is the Act 167 plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know there is the intermunicipal
Yeah, and
stormwater
we're-
committee that is doing exactly the same thing you're talking about there.
Yeah, we're doing this because the state, we are the only county in the state that does not have a countywide Act 167 plan. And
So municipality, I'm paying the ISC and I'm paying local shared use, I'm paying the same thing twice.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we'll be doing. I mean, we've done some really big projects on it. I mean, million-dollar projects. Like, Lakemont, grading and taking all the silt out of it, that was a huge project.
Right.
So now, we're gonna have another thing that we have to look at, I mean, it seems to me there's gotta be some way to take and say, okay, this is already being done.
Yeah, but the ISC is only part of the county. They need countywide. And that was one of the things when we were talking to them about doing these. You know, we have the ISC. Well, first of all, Act 167 says it has to be done by the County Planning Commission. And then we have to do the model ordinance, which, again, to me, do we need to do a model ordinance? Because DEP has a model ordinance that everybody's been adopting. So we take their model ordinance and put it into the plan, maybe tweak it a little bit based on our local needs. But the 167 plan will look at all 6 watersheds throughout the county and make recommendations based on the modeling that's done that way. If there are projects to be done, we can add them in, and then the ISC can use those as a basis for what they want to do, or they can continue as they are. I mean, they've been quite successful so far.
They've been extremely
I don't really have any reason to step on their toes or anything other than 167 is supposed to be done by a planning commission, and they had the funding available 2 years to do this, so. And it overlapped very well with the hazard mitigation plan in terms of the flooding data.
What's the schedule for this plan?
This plan, that blue book, is pretty much where the plan stands. The plan is about, it's going to depend on what we get for feedback in terms of from the municipalities and from the public. But the plan is somewhere between 40% and 60% complete, and we are in the second of a 2-year grant.
So you're gonna have public hearings?
Yeah, there'll be outreach done over the late spring and summer.
You have a consultant working on this too?
There'll be somebody we'll need to do for some modeling
What does the Act 167 do?
through the end of the year.
So this is grant money, this is not other taxpayer money from
Right.
any municipality.
Right.
And this plan has to be updated on a 5-year cycle?
That's what the Act 167 says. DEP has kind of been doing one of these with it. Yeah. We are going to be using the York County model, which alleviates some of the onerous part of that 5-year cycle. So. Municipal outreach, we'll be doing municipal outreach again this year. We're looking at a regional format, April timeframe. I believe at least 2 of the meetings have been scheduled. So we'll be going to each of these 7 regions you see here on the map. If somebody feels they need a separate meeting, by all means speak up. We can certainly make that happen. The regional format still gets us local enough, but it also encourages, again, some of this intermunicipal discussion that can tend to happen. When we were going individually, it was taking a very long time to get through everybody, but then we were talking to one municipality and then the one next door would say something different, and we'd have to go back to the first one, when if we had met together, it could have been just one discussion and worked out that way. Again, the outreach for stormwater, stream obstructions need to be identified. Any flooding that comes from stormwater, outdated water infrastructure, and we'll be looking for any data holes to be plugged. I'm aware of a few, but there may be a few others that as we have these discussions, they may come out. Again, you know your municipalities better than what we would know them. Some of this data is going to already be available, and but it's always, again, good to talk to locals who are on the ground and know their own municipalities very well. Board vacancies, wasn't aware that we had, that you were going to be filling for this week, so this is pretty much a moot point at this point. And so we're down to discussions, yeah.
I have a question on the Blair County Planning Commission. You have Altoona and Logan Township lumped into one region.
Right.
The representatives are all from Altoona. There are two people, they're both from Altoona. They are not aware of what the township issues are, they are not aware of what goes on in the township. There is no reason. We were at the meeting when this happened, and Mr. Butterball and I both said, you should have 1 and 1. And if I remember correctly, you told me the two people that were on there were from the city, and they wanted to stay on. These are appointed positions, they're not paid for. There's no reason that you can't take one of those seats and say, hey, we've got to take you off because we need to do this. Because I wouldn't have any idea what the issues in Altoona are. Somebody in Altoona isn't going to have any idea what the issues are in rural Logan Township. I think that's doing a disservice to both those communities to not have a representation from each one on there. It doesn't change how the vote goes or anything else. All it does is it makes a better communication, better representation. Altoona is the largest municipality in Blair County. The township is the second largest municipality in Blair County. I think they deserve representation both.
Jessica,
I'm Logan.
Yeah.
Logan now?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, they just appointed one from each, yeah.
Which is fine, because that's where we stand.
Yeah, he's out by the big Baptist church, I believe,
And I'm up
and she's up on Juniata Gap.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm up here.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect,
Yeah.
because that was not communicated very well.
Yeah, we don't appoint them.
You don't have any more clerks than I do, so you should. I've got no staff. No staff. You like it. That's even better.
Last item is some open discussion. We do want to point out, I think most, if not all of you, picked up the flyer with the graphic at the top of it with MAP funding. As I mentioned at the beginning, Molly Sarver, who is our DCD rep, was planning on being here tonight. She had to cancel at the last minute. I'm going to try to invite her to some of these municipal outreach meetings to talk to you about some of what's going on, so we can see what kind of funding might be available for some of your projects and move them on. I don't know with 7 regions if she'll be able to make every one of them, but we will do our best. It is my understanding that the MAP time frame is changing. Right now they have a spring and a fall round. I was told that starting in 27 there's only going to be a fall round. So if you do have a project that's a little more pressing, you may, if you're not already shooting for this spring round, you may want to try to gear yourself up for the fall round this year, or you're going to be waiting a year.
I'd like to just take a moment. We do have our full planning commission staff with us this evening, and Dave, I don't know whether you'd like to introduce them or ask them to introduce themselves with maybe just a brief description of what your role is in the commission.
I'm Dave McFarland. I'm the director. We'll start with Mackenzie. You can each say a couple sentences for yourselves.
My name is Mackenzie Karen. I am the regional planner.
I'm Wesley Burgett. I'm the transportation planner that handles the transportation planning board work that has municipal representation on it, and it keeps the countywide certification for highway, bridge, and transit projects. That's the work that we're responsible for.
Sherry Sosi, I'm the strategic planner, grant writer for Blair Planning.
I'm Rhonda Kelly. I'm the planning aid secretary. I try to keep all of Jens's reviews together and in a file and uploaded for people to do what they need to do, and answer the phone when you call in, answer your emails when you email.
Did you maybe want to
I was
introduce?
going to say the same thing, we should probably do, since we have a new planning commission, maybe everybody
Board?
introduce yourselves
Yeah,
real
I was gonna
quick.
say, I think the majority of our.
I think you've
planning
already
commission
said something, but start with Todd.
Todd Lewis, Tyrone Township.
Rodney.
Rodney Green and Green 6, I guess, covers of what would be Springfield Schools, Gary Hall, municipalities.
Jessica Sheets, Region 3, Logan Township.
Peter Full in Region 3, City of Altoona.
I'm Sherry Luke, Region 2, Hannah Township. And Bellwood.
Bobby Step, Tompkinsville, Hollidaysburg, Allegheny Township.
Don. Don.
Don.
Hollingsburg, I guess. I just couldn't notice there a couple
So before we adjourn, this would probably function as like public comment, questions, anything else, comments, questions, concerns, as it says up here, what are you working on? Things that we can help with, that would be this part of the meeting before we adjourn. Does anybody have anything else that we didn't get to earlier at another part?
Could you just provide some contact information so we can reach out to you guys individually so we don't perpetuate this meeting any longer than it has to be? And there are some things that I want to contribute, talk about, touch upon, but I don't want this to go on and on. So if I could just direct them to one person, if we could all have one person's contact information to get our thoughts and ideas, so that one person in your group can send them to the rest.
Yeah, my email address, if you don't already have it, is mcaron, CARON, @blairplanning.org. And I can probably, it pretty much doesn't matter what you're looking for, I can probably direct you where you need to go. .org.
Our board meeting next Thursday.
Yeah, we have a board meeting coming up next Thursday, the 26th, at 8:30 at the Altoona Water Authority. And it's a public meeting, you're welcome to attend. This will be the first board meeting with our whole new planning commission, so I think it'll be good for us to establish some direction and good habits. But yeah, does anybody have anything else? Any questions? You can go to the next.
I'm going to add one thing. With the new planning commission that we have, I will be reaching out probably to PMPEI, which is the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Education Institute, to bring in some planning commission training. We have 9 members, but they usually allow a class of somewhere between 20 and 25. So especially those municipalities that have planning commissions, it's not just Altoona and Logan that have planning commissions, but especially those municipalities with planning commissions, if you have new members that are feeling a little overwhelmed with what planning is, we will be reaching out to offer those extra seats to those within the county. So we'll be reaching out to get that done here, hopefully sooner than later. It depends a little bit on their schedule and what they have available. Next meeting, again, third Monday of September 21st, 6:30, right here. I think we consider ourselves adjourned.